everybody. Happy Wednesday. Usually I look forward to tonight's reality TV bonanza. It's the finale of The Amazing Race. But I'm actually going to a screening this evening that popped up at the last minute. And I'm excited. Thank you for gifting a membership, Popcorn Roulette. It's so nice to see everybody. I'm debuting a new fuzzy shirt today. It's from Anthropology. I was recently watching something that made fun of Anthropology, and I felt bad. I was like, hey, I got some nice stuff from there. Thank you very much. I'm not telling you what I'm seeing. You'll find out soon enough, but it'll be interesting. Hey, Jerome, thank you for gifting a membership. I was like, I'm not doing the same thing that happened with Godzilla -1. I'm making sure I see this movie. We see it's my pleasure. Thank you for such a nice comment. Thank you for gifting some memberships, Lawrence. Oh, you guys are so nice. So it's a little bit slow for the holiday season. I think most of Hollywood is on vacation already for the holidays. We see gifted 50 memberships. I was happy with the nice comment. Oh, wow, that's incredible. Wow, Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy holidays. Thank you for gifting a membership, Lone Wolf Media. Any gift is appreciated, especially a gift of a membership, because it benefits somebody else as well. If you get a gifted membership, you're a member for a month, baby. So you'll have to participate in all the streams in the chat. Although, of course, anyone can watch, and anyone can also vote in the polls. And Jimmy Anton, thanks for re-upping as a BTT Inside Access member. That'll start early next month, where there'll be a private Ask Me Anything only for members of that tier once a month. Okay, so slow time, real slow time, but I managed to find 3 stories. It was tough. Hey, Carrie. In fact, this first one's leftovers from Friday. But during the holidays, I don't work on Friday, so and also I wasn't feeling very well yesterday, and I was a little off this morning, so I apologize that I haven't been posting as much content the last 24, 48 hours. But don't worry, man, it's gonna be all good. I got videos coming out. There's stuff coming out. We have stuff to do. Also, a lot of reviews next week. You'll find out. Okay, I'm glad you like leftovers, Sir Grizzle, because this is a juicy one. It's still got some juice left in it. That's how good this leftover is. All right, so as the way this works always is that you can say anything that you'd like, but I'm probably not going to acknowledge it or any comments or questions, even if it's a super chat, until I open each section up to questions and comments, just so we can stay on track. And then at the end, though, as always, the final 10 minutes will be Ask Me Anything. That's not going away. There will always be Ask Me Anything at the ends of streams. But the benefit of Inside Access level of membership is that there will be less people in the chat, so even more likely for you to get your questions answered, and you just get a little bit more time with me. That's why it's called Inside Access. All right, so here we go. Story number 1. Boop. Oh, no, I covered up Pedro Pascal's face. Oh, no. Let's see here. There we go. Ha-ha. So he did it. He actually did it. We all thought that James Gunn was going to cast all of his family and friends in his movies, and we said that he would. But when he didn't for a moment, we thought, oh, maybe he's matured as a filmmaker. Maybe he's going to maybe just make a really great movie and just focus on that. But no. I mean, we should have known when he cast Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, the direction that he was headed in. But, I think we're all just waiting for the Jennifer Holland cameo, his wife. And I'm almost positive she'll be in the movie. It would be incredible self-control if she wasn't. I guess she could technically because, of her role in DC. I mean, she could factor into that story for sure. But I think the problem a lot of people have is that, Sean Gunn, James Gunn's brother, he was on, I think, Gilmore Girls, and he did, by the way, with that he must be, Bill Paxton, God rest his soul. Bill Paxton, somebody told me, they said Bill Paxton worked so much was because everybody loved having him around. And I met Bill Paxton right before he passed away at San Diego Comic-Con, and gosh darn it, that guy was a saint. He was just a joy to have around, and I was like, I see it. I understand. I think nobody has a problem with somebody being likable and getting a lot of work. But I think and so Sean Gunn, I think, must be super likable because the people who made Gilmore Girls went on to make Mrs. Maisel, and they gave him a small role, Sean Gunn, in the final season. It was just a cameo in one of the episodes, but I was like, oh wow, it's so shocking to see him in something that isn't from James Gunn, his brother. Now, nobody has a problem with somebody helping out their brother. Like, that's fine, right? But it should be a smaller role. And by the way, I came to like Sean Gunn quite a bit in Guardians of the Galaxy, but now I associate him with that franchise. I don't want to see Guardians of the Galaxy just under a different brand. So Ron Howard always casts his brother. So does Sam Raimi. They both always cast their brothers in all their movies, but they're glorified cameos. They're very, very small. Like, they run through and you go, oh, hey, there they are. That's funny. Isn't that nice that he did that for his brother? But Maxwell Lord, I think this is where they really ran into the problem. Like, if Sean Gunn had a funny comedic role at the Daily Planet, nobody would have an issue with that whatsoever. I mean, I think obviously we'd be like, that's fine. So you see the individual underneath the Gunn brothers? That's Maxwell Lord. So it's kind of ridiculous. It's like if he cast Sean Gunn as Superman. You would be like, it's just not a fit with the character. Now, obviously, this is going to be James Gunn's take on the character, but it has to somewhat recognize the source material. I thought it was funny that everybody was saying, what a downgrade from Pedro Pascal, who of course played the character with a totally different set of powers, by the way, in Wonder Woman 1984. And I thought that was funny because in Wonder Woman 1984, at the time, Pedro Pascal was not a big deal yet, and nobody said any. People were actually not very nice about his performance. I was one of the few people who said he did a great job in the movie. I was like, boy, that Pedro Pascal sure is talented. I loved him as Maxwell Lord. But I think it's funny that now that Pedro Pascal is so popular, everybody's like, what a downgrade. But there's no way Pedro Pascal was going to stick around as Maxwell Lord. He wants, he's too expensive for that role now. And now he's too big of a star for it. But apparently James Gunn also tweeted out a picture of the Justice League International. And, Maxwell Lord has a history with that team. But, part of me worries that James Gunn is just going to lean so heavily into the fringe aspects of DC. Like, as I said when he got the job, I have a concern that he's going to, really cater to the hardcore comic book fans, at the back of the store. Who can, tell you every single, tiny little episode or panel or issue. And, I think that that's just too much for the broad appeal that this kind of movie would need. So Batmite, if Batmite shows up, I mean, I think DC fans will be like, oh, that's funny. But I think most other people will be like, I can't take it. It's too much. Jerome, I don't know if Feige is like that. I think Feige ended up leaning a little bit too much into the Silver Age. But he changes a lot, And also, hey, Feige's in his own problems right now. I mean, we used to think nobody would ever dare criticize Feige. Now everybody's like, get in line. So that's why I think it's not so much that he cast Sean Gunn in something. And by the way, it isn't confirmed for Superman Legacy, although I find it very hard to believe that the character wouldn't pop up for a moment. Especially because so many other characters are already going to pop up in the movie. It's got a ton of characters in the film. But that's the thing. So this is a long-term gig for Sean Gunn, who's also, by the way, doing the motion capture for Weasel. He was Calendar Man in live action form in the Suicide Squad as well. I mean, he just has a lot of stuff that, and also I just think it's too soon to cast Sean Gunn. I would have waited until after Superman Legacy launched. Let Superman Legacy be its own thing. Let James Gunn stand on his own. And I think, by the way, I still think there's hope for Superman Legacy. Because I liked Guardians of the Galaxy 3 so much. And I also liked the holiday special so much. And I thought that even in Suicide Squad, which overall I did not care for, I thought there was some sophisticated storytelling in there. So maybe that this could be good, but I'm worried that still the interest in it will be low from casuals and non-fans. And I think a lot of it will just be I worry that it's going to be another Batman v Superman, where it certainly has its fans, but it doesn't have the broad appeal that it needs to. I mean, I do think that James Gunn and Zack Snyder are very similar in many ways. They even worked together at the beginning of their careers. And so I think that hiring him to take over DC isn't really enough of a change. It's just going to be, from the Snyderverse to the Gunnverse, and I think they're going to be surprisingly similar. I mean, he even cast a Superman who looks very much like Henry Cavill to some degree. Let's see how he actually looks. But it's something we're a little nervous about. Now, Zachary Levi couldn't help. Oh, you guys want a poll, Liz and R, on this? Okay, we'll do a poll. Hold on. How do you feel about Sean Gunn in DC? Great. So excited. Try to be positive as well. Then, okay with it, but not Maxwell Lord. Then keep him out. I think that's good. That's enough. All right, so while you guys are voting in that, so Zachary Levi just couldn't help but weigh in on this. I'm like, who asked Zachary Levi? Okay, all Zachary Levi did was confirm that he's not coming back to the DC universe as Shazam. Because he'd never have said that if there was not even a chance that he would be able to come back. He was real snotty about it. He was like, I guess it helps that your brother runs the studio. And all I was like, so I was like, so you're definitely not coming back. And then I was like, what news? Unemployed man upset he's unemployed. I mean, what did he expect after all the horrible things that he said and all the people he threw under the bus when Shazam 2 was not successful? I mean, he was saying such mean stuff about Dwayne Johnson. It was crazy. It's like, I mean, everyone's just laughing at Zachary Levi. Zachary Levi should just be like, God bless him. Good luck to them. I'm excited about my next project. But I guess Zachary Levi feels, he was on Mrs. Maisel too, by the way, that he'll never work again. Although he was so horrible after Shazam 2, I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe never worked again. So anyway, the other interesting thing is that Zachary Levi, of course, went on that ski trip, right? With Peter, what's the guy's? He's so little a part of the conversation. I forgot his name. It's James Gunn and Peter something, right? Safran. Thank you, Jose. Peter Safran. So Zachary Levi went on a ski trip with Peter Safran. They went on a ski trip with their significant others, and he still couldn't get it. So, I mean, why is James Gunn getting all his pals in there and Peter Safran isn't? So, ridiculous. All right, so it's very much, Hollywood is very, by the way, anyone can vote in the poll. Anyone can vote in the poll. You don't have to be a member. You have to be a member to participate in the chat, but if you're watching and you want to vote in the poll, go right ahead. Now, of course, in Hollywood, it's always been about who do you know, but there has to be some balance that new talent can come up. I was talking to a friend of mine about the fact that not only does James Gunn cast all of his friends, but the fact that James Gunn takes all the jobs for himself. Like, he writes all the scripts himself. He's doing everything himself. And my friend who works in the business was like, it kind of sucks because what about the rest of us who are just auditioning or, submitting our work to try and get our next gig? And it's like, there's not even a chance for us. And the question is, does James Gunn, was there a casting call even for Maxwell Lord? And he decided, the best person is my brother. I mean, I hope he just went right for his brother, because it would be horrible to make any actors go through the casting process and then it just goes to Sean Gunn. Maybe Zachary Levi was hoping for Maxwell Lord. Hey, Elpidio, thank you for gifting a membership. But yeah, I just think, and this will all go away if it's great. So, but it better be great. Like, that's kind of the thing that you're dealing with there. And again, I think I made this point, but I think that if Sean Gunn and Jennifer Holland got work in other projects that James Gunn was not involved with, I think they would feel more legitimate as actors. I think that's another problem. People are like, but they don't work anywhere else. So it really does seem like, you're not hiring professionals. And I told you, I thought Sean Gunn was good in Guardians of the Galaxy. I actually liked him very much. Thank you for gifting those memberships, Not Modern Painter. But it's just really weird. I mean, especially after he was in Guardians of the Galaxy, that he can't get any other work. Like, it's just so bizarre. Like, Sean Gunn is recognizable at this point. And you would think even behind the scenes, James Gunn could just call up a friend and say, could you please hire my brother and my brother and my wife? Because this is killing me. And then nobody would have to know. Whelm says, I'll say it. I think Gunn knows that Warner Brothers is going to be sold and is just setting up his family to take as much of the pie as possible. I've heard that theory as well. But, they could keep James Gunn, but I do think he's trying to get as much money as he can as quickly as possible because he's getting paid for everything. Every script that he writes, everything that he directs, on top of his DC salary, that's all money going to James Gunn. His agent's like, this was the best gold mine we ever found. Hey, Benjamin James Orchard. Let's see. All right. Owlwatch says if he wanted to cast him as a Wonder Woman villain, he would have been a good Dr. Psycho. Oh, that's great casting, Owlwatch. See, if they cast Sean Gunn as Dr. Psycho, so funny on Harley Quinn, I would be like, yeah, that's actually pretty good casting. All right, so it's all riding, I would say, not even on Superman Legacy, but I'd say the whole future of James Gunn's DC is riding on the Superman Legacy trailers. Because we've seen a lot of movies lately die by bad trailers. Like, even though the movie itself is good, just nobody could believe it. Or people were so ingrained in disliking it before the movie even came out, the movie just couldn't turn people's opinion around. So he just needs to have incredible trailers. And maybe he will. I mean, I really would like DC to stop not being good. I would like DC to get back on track. I mean, superhero movies just overall are just really in the gutter. And so I would love for them to turn things around. I don't believe they've started filming it, Tyler. I don't think anybody's really. Very few people are filming right now unless they already were filming. And they're eager to get back, get the project back on track because they had to pay everybody to put them on hold to some degree. But I think any new projects are waiting till after New Year's because you just have to send them on vacation anyway. All right, so let me see what the poll is, and then you can ask me any questions or comments about this story before we move on to the next one. All right. How do you feel about Sean Gunn in DC? 43% of you are okay with it, as long as it's not Maxwell Lord. 38% say keep him out of it, and then 17% only are excited about him in the role. I gotta say, 17 is better than I thought it would be, so that's pretty good. I think Sean Gunn's like, I can work with that. As for 43, I think that shows there's still a lot of positivity towards James Gunn. And that's, he needs it. So that's really nice that he has a number of people backing him. Again, I'm always very honest. So if Superman Legacy is a great movie, I will say so. I gave good reviews to Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special and Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I even like Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I'm like one of the few people who did. Nick Warner says, is there any benefit for Gunn adapting any specific version of the Justice League lineup? No, there is not, because he's not personally involved with DC. He doesn't get any, kickbacks like Jeff Johns did. Joe87, I haven't heard anything about who they might be casting as Supergirl. I do feel bad for Sasha Calle, but I think they're clearly going for the more traditional version of the character, like is seen in that comic. It would be a nice thing to put Sasha Calle as the other. There's two women characters in that comic. And one is an alien, a female alien that Supergirl is helping out. And, Sasha Calle, by the way, I think could play that role. And maybe that would be a really nice gesture. They never gave anything to Leslie Grace. Vicente says, joining in late, so I don't know if it was said, but Sean as Maxwell Lord just feels like Pedro Light. He's definitely not, that's what we said, Vicente. He's definitely not Maxwell Lord. And then Devin Henderson says, if Superman bombs out of the gate, what happens next? Well, I think that they sell Warner Brothers and then they start again. I think that's why you're probably not going to see any projects, unless Zazzy's crazy. But if I were Warner Brothers, I would not move forward with any other projects in Gunn's universe until I saw how Superman Legacy did. He can plan all he wants and put deals in place, but I wouldn't move forward. I wouldn't actually start to make them. Junior6288 says, my positivity is towards Sean Gunn, not James. Oh, that's sweet. I love you too, Junior6288. That's very nice. Sean Gunn does seem like a very nice person. I thought he had said some really interesting things during the strike. Yes, 50 pence. Ezra Miller is definitely gone. Dancing Dog 60 says all of the Guardians movies trailers were good, so I believe James knows what's to film in advance to give studios a good trailer. You remember Dancing Dog 60. For those of you who don't recall, that was a cautionary tale from the filming of John Carter of Mars, where they had a new PR person and Andrew Stanton was inexperienced in working in live action. And they didn't realize you need to shoot the big money shots first in a movie for a blockbuster so that they're ready in time for the first trailer. For instance, one of the very first things they filmed for Independence Day was the White House exploding so that it could be in the trailer. So yeah, James Gunn, he's certainly not his first rodeo, that's for sure. Ashaman says, "Hi Grace, I'm such a fan of Elastic Man and I can't think of someone silly enough to play this role. How about Sean Gunn? I think he'd be a great Elastic Man. There's so many people he could be besides Maxwell Lord. It's ridiculous. Like so many other characters that he'd actually be a fit with, where people would be like, oh, okay. I don't know, Cosmics. I think Jim Carrey's a little too on the nose." C. Copper Mercier agrees. And then Nate Griffin says, "Can you imagine if they cast Gal, Henry, and Ben in a Marvel reboot?" I don't think they will. And I don't think they're going to reboot Marvel. I just don't see that happening. Although if the box office gets much worse, maybe we will. But can it get worse? I don't know if it could. All right, let's move on to the next story of the day. All right, hold on. Here we go. Boop. Oh, okay. I'm covering up more stuff. All right, I got to pay more attention to that when I'm making my images here. All right, so as I said, it's a little slow, so we're going to talk a little bit more Wonka box office because they adjusted the estimates today because people think the movie is good. Devin says, why was the Marvels trailer so bad? It was awful. It was very, very bad. But I got to tell you, having seen the movie, I'm not quite sure what I would do to make a better trailer because the movie's not blockbustery, even though it's like fun. It's more like a sleepover movie. Happy Christmas and New Year to you too. Life is good. All right, so I got to get back to the story. I apologize. Nina Leon, I'm not sure how I would cast as Supergirl. I haven't thought about it. Okay, but I appreciate the question. All right, and is that the Eiffel Tower with you? C'est bon. All right, so Wonka box office. So they adjusted they adjusted the predictions today because the movie has such good word of mouth coming out of Europe. So they had a very misleading headline. You might have seen that they said Wonka is set for a $75 million global debut. I don't know why they do that. I mean, I think it's really misleading. That means it's a new thing to try and pump up the number, but that really means is a 40 million domestic is expected. So they plussed it by 5 million. Before they thought it'd come in around 35, now they're thinking it's going to be around 40. And that means an additional 35 overseas because so it's going to, if they're only expecting 35 overseas, that's a bit of a drop from last week. So, I mean, 40, we'll talk about it on Friday on Movie Math, on Sunday on Movie Math. But I got to tell you, that's not great. 40 is still really low for a December holiday movie. I would be much happier if it was opening at 75, just domestic. Then I would think it would be where it needed to be. Even 60, I'd take it. 60 to 70 million, I'd be like, okay, now we got something going. But I have to say The Greatest Showman opened at just 8.8 million at around the same time, mid-December, and went on to do 174.3 domestic and 438.5 global. And with Wonka only having a $125 million budget, nice job, Paul King, especially because Warner Brothers didn't spend any money on advertising, as we know. That's very effective cost-wise, and so they'd be very happy with even 438. So maybe it'll be another Greatest Showman, as I saw somebody else just say. Who wrote that? I didn't. Oh, I can't. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't see, but I saw somebody mention that. Yeah, I think it's hoping to be another Greatest Showman. And I think it's very much like The Greatest Showman. So I think that they can feel good about that. So the question is, what will be the big movie of the holiday season? There's no Avatar this year. There's no Star Wars. It was you, Nacho Flores? That's adorable. And there's no Spider-Man even. No Spider-Man No Way Home. There's no really big movie for the holiday season that usually opens right before Christmas. We're missing our Christmas blockbuster. I guess Aquaman is like, Aquaman's like, hello, I'm the Christmas blockbuster. And we're like, are you? But I think Warner Brothers is like, hey man, it's going to be our movie because we got 3 movies coming out. There they are. Wonka, Aquaman 2, and The Color Purple. All coming out within about a week and a half of each other, which is nuts in my opinion. But as I've said before, I think that The Color Purple and Wonka will be the 2 holiday movies. I think Aquaman 2 is going to probably be DOA. We'll see. We'll see. I can tell you their embargo dates, the review embargo dates for both movies. So the Wonka embargo already lifted, obviously. I reviewed that like last week or so. The Color Purple's review embargo is on Tuesday, the 19th, so I'll be reviewing that. And then Aquaman 2's embargo lifts the day before, or the day of release, technically, because it starts playing on Thursday night. So that's when the review embargoes lift, and I'll have reviews ready for both of them. I'll be trying to give Aquaman 2 kind of the superhero, the blockbuster treatment. Definitely a spoiler review. But I don't, because it going to have any end credit scenes because it's done. We'll see what they decide to do. But yeah, I do think that Wonka and The Color Purple are going to be the big Christmas movies. Let me do a poll. Let me ask you what you're planning to watch for the holiday season. I dropped my brush. Okay, let's see. What is your holiday movie? So, Wonka, Aquaman 2. I'm doing them in order of release. The Color Purple, and then there'll be other. All right, so again, anyone could vote in a poll. You don't have to be a member to vote in the poll. You just have to click there and you can cast your vote. I only get 4 spaces, which is kind of frustrating. So while people are voting, let me answer some of your questions. Subasisu says, Grace, I slightly disagree with Warner Brothers not advertising. I've seen Timothy and Jason go on a ton of premieres and events, and they had CCXP as well. I guess that's true. I mean, they aren't not advertising it, but I don't think it's like the level of Barbie. Like I would think Wonka would be everywhere. And the fact that it's not is very frustrating to me because I think that it deserves that kind of, it's just perfect for that kind of a campaign. Oh, Tony Stank, thank you for gifting another membership. iReady says, I think if Wonka had a more heartwarming angle like Paddington in their advertising, it would have been a better fit with the Christmas atmosphere. Well, the movie itself does, so it really has to be a leap of faith, and hopefully maybe word of mouth will get everybody to go. But yeah, I think the advertising really let Wonka down. Dwight Baldwin, you're going all in on Reacher Season 2. That's hilarious. I love it. Harlequin Dove says, do you think Aquaman 2 will cap it, like no cliffhangers? I sure hope so. I think that would be the appropriate thing to do. I don't know if they could resist putting maybe an end credit scene or something in there, but I just think they should cauterize the wound and then just let it heal for a year or 6 months until Comic-Con 2024, and then they can start advertising Superman for Gunn. I am impressed that some of you are doing all 3. That AMC A-list is pretty sweet. Stephen Turner says, I don't think movies have the same legs that they used to when Greatest Showman came out because more people are willing to wait for streaming. That's true if it was a different time of year, but I think a lot of people like to go to the movies during the holidays, so you got a good month there where people will be like, let's go to the movies. Sherm, you saw 130 plus movies this year? That's impressive. Oh, a little piece of wonder. You're going to love Wonka. I'm glad you're taking my recommendation. VTTV, I would agree that the Barbie ad campaign was certainly very special, but it should be something that we learn from. I guess maybe it's too soon. Hey, Jim Nerd. Welcome back. Ragu says, Zachary Levi end credit scene. That would be hilarious. He's just sitting there being like, guys, and then they turn the lights out on him, and that would be very funny. John Thrasher, I don't think Wonka is better than Barbie. I put it, Wonka, go look at my top 10 movies of the year and you'll see where they are ranked. Popcorn Roulette says Wonka will be the 70th movie for them of the year. That's interesting. You guys count how many movies you've seen over the year. Do you just keep like your own personal tally? Is there an app or something you could use? Maybe you're on Letterboxd. That's probably what you're doing. Kareem says, is Timmy not enough of a draw for Wonka? We'll find out. Oh yeah, I was right. It is Letterboxd. Haha. Doc Haynes says, I was really looking forward to Dune 2 for my birthday, but honestly, I don't know what to watch now. Aw, I'm sorry, Doc. That sucks. None of these movies are very Dune-y. Maybe, I don't know, Poor Things is so NC-17, I can't tell you to go see that for your birthday. But, maybe an awards film would be up your alley, maybe you might want to watch Ferrari. I thought it was a little dull, but it's the closest I can think of for Dune. But I warn you that it might be really boring. Ricky says, should Gunn have filmed a post-credit scene for Aquaman 2 for his new universe? No, I wouldn't do that. It's too soon. And also, you don't want them connected. You want a clear break. Whelm says the wound will never heal, Grace. You were right when you said the Snyderverse will haunt Warner Brothers and DC forever. Especially now that Netflix basically, I don't think that Netflix is, you can't buy any DC rights from Warner Brothers. They're not for, I don't know, anything seems to be for sale this day with Zazie in charge. Zazie would be like, how much are you going to give me for him? So he never say never. But I think, I also said the wound would never heal if it wasn't a straight reboot. Like I said, but bringing over some other characters and casting was a mess. And they're doing it anyway. Max Brunette says, hey, Grace, I'm going to go see Wonka in IMAX tomorrow by myself. I go to the movies by myself all the time, particularly as a critic. Super excited, no shame in going to the theater by myself. You're going to have a great time. I watched Wonka by myself at my press screening. It was so fun. You're going to sit wherever you want. You're going to have a great time. All right, let me see how the voting went, and then we'll move to the next story of the day. Ooh, look at Wonka. That's actually pretty good, actually, the split. Let me see. All right, so Wonka at 33%. Hooray! 25% other. Aquaman 2 at 24%. Oh, and the color purple at just 16%. You really should try the color purple. I mean, it's got some very sad moments to it, but it's just a tremendous film. I feel bad that it's not getting more attention. I think the poster and the trailer just don't do it justice. Yet again. Oh, so frustrating. But yeah. Ashaman, there's no shame in going to the movies by yourself. What did we just say? See, Carrie gets it. Carrie gets it. Let me do a poll. Do you ever go to the movies by yourself? Yes. No. And then we'll do never thought of it. Never thought of it before. You should definitely try going to the movies by yourself. It's so fun. I like what Cooper Mercier just said. Going by yourself is very therapeutic. It really is, especially a matinee. And you get out and you have the whole rest of the day to do stuff. I mean, it's awesome. Okay, or I'm sorry to hear people walked out of your Wonka screening. They must not love happiness. Oh, this is so great. See, everybody's going by themselves. Oh, I love it. Oh, it's great. You really should. It's really fun. I think that there's unfortunately a stigma against it, which there shouldn't be. Because I have a friend who, like, for the longest time had never gone to the movies by herself. And then she's like, oh, that's weird. I don't want to do that. And then finally one time she had to go by herself. And she had the best time. She snuck a bagel in there. She said, oh, that was so fun. I loved it. So it's great. It's great times. All right, we'll just give him another moment for the vote. Joy says, going to the movies by yourself is a blast. Did it for my second viewing of Multiverse of Madness and bonded with someone about our love for Wanda. Oh, I love that, Joy. You lived up to your name. I love making friends with other people. Oh, I love that. It's so fun to talk to other people at the movies. I've done that too. It's great. Isaac says, I go on my own, then come back to see your film. Oh, that's so nice, Isaac. I love being part of people's movie-going traditions. And then Lone Wolf Media says, going to the movie solo is one of the few things that helps with my depression. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Lone Wolf Media. It's even better when I have tons of snacks. That's right. Sugar and visual rush. I love it. Nicholas Cardillo. I watch movies by myself in my living room, too. That's hilarious, Nicholas. For all of us who live alone, we're laughing there right next to you. I've been watching some Christmas movies, with my family, but also by myself. And, I can get to, although it's tough with Christmas movies because I'm trying to coordinate with my family which ones they might want to watch when we're together. Because I don't want them to be like, let's watch Fred Claus. And I'm like, I just watched it. So I have to be careful about that. Steven says, love making a self-date of a movie release. Take myself out to drinks or dinner and movies on my own and to treat yourself. Yeah, hanging out by yourself. There should be no stigma against it. Go out. I have some friends I know who sometimes will eat dinner by themselves. I mean, I'll tell you one crazy one. I never guessed this before. My friend told me the other day, one of my friends said that sometimes they go to Dave & Buster's by themselves. And I was like, Dave & Buster's by yourself? What? And they were like, yeah, so great. And I was like, that's incredible. And so I'm really like, I'm not only intrigued by the idea of it, but I'm in awe of my friend's like self-confidence. I'm pretty self-confident, but I was like, going to Dave & Buster's by yourself is a whole new level of self-confidence that I didn't even know you could unlock. So there's only one Dave & Buster's in Times Square here in the city, but I'm kind of tempted to try it. All right, let's see here. Tina of Deo says, Grace, the original Color Purple is a classic movie in the African-American community that this new movie has a hard hill to climb to win us over. I would agree with that, from what I've heard. But I have to tell you, at the screening that I was at, the press awards screening, there were a lot of people of color in attendance, and they were blown away by the movie. We all were. But it seemed to really please that demographic who have had a history with the film. Even the people who made the film, because they were interviewing the screenwriter after my screening, and the whole reason he wanted the job was because he loved the original Color Purple movie so much. All right, so let's go to the next story. I'm going to close the poll. All right, here we go. 79% of you have gone to the movies by yourself. 16% of you have never done it. And then 4% are like, what are you guys talking about? Go try it. I'm telling you, it's a lot of fun. That's right, Sophia. Dave & Buster's is an adult Chuck E. Cheese. That's a great way to describe it. All right, let's go to the third story of the day, and then we'll do the Q&A. 50 Pence says, why hasn't anyone explained Dave & Buster's yet? You don't know? Dave and Buster's. I like that you thought it was David Buster's, like David S. Pumpkins. No, it's Dave and Buster's, and it really is like basically Chuck E. Cheese for adults. You go and you get to play arcade games, and they have a whole bunch of stuff like that, and then they sell like pub food. Kyle Selby says, my friends were super loud and obnoxious during a screening of Heredity. Been going by myself ever since. Good for you, Kyle. I'm sorry your friends were like that, though. So some of you are Googling David Buster? That's hilarious. I love it. Okay. All right. Welcome to America. That Civil War trailer was crazy this morning. I agree. California and Texas would never team up. Okay. Maybe they'd have their own war, and we'd all be like, stop it, you guys. Okay, you're making us look bad to the rest of the world. Juan Gabriel infamously did not like Hereditary. And I went with a friend to that press screening who really wanted to go. Otherwise, I never would have even seen Hereditary. But my friend was like, oh, you have a screening for Hereditary? Can I go? I really want to see that. And we both were like, this is torture. But I did like Midsommar, interestingly enough. All right. Oh, sorry, Kyle. Yeah, I liked Midsommar. Okay, boom, baby. Story number 3. Netflix viewership. A lot of you sent me this story yesterday. I think it was yesterday, that Netflix released a ton of streaming information, a bunch of streaming data. They were like, you want to look under the hood? Here you go. Here's a microscope. And a lot of you were like, hey, Grace, could you explain these numbers? And I got to tell you, they're pretty inexplicable. I mean, I was like, what is the point of this when they released it? And part of me felt it was like flooding people with information, like that tactic that you see all the time in legal dramas and movies, where they're like, you have to give us this file. We have discovery. And then they go, you want to see the files? Here's 10 years worth of files. And they're like, how are we going to go through all this? So I kind of felt that's a little, like what Denzel said, the point is to confuse us. They're like, okay, here. And you're like, they get you to the point where you're like, I don't want to see any more of your numbers, Netflix. I know you say it's to throw off SAG, SMR Goose, but when money is involved, we're just looking at it casually for fun. But when someone's paycheck is based on it, you better believe they're going to get some expert to go and look at it. Every agency will hire an expert to comb through that. So the industry's big takeaway was that it showed you what it took to get a renewal, right? Because maybe Netflix also was tired of all the tweets. Oh, darn it, I forgot to turn my, 1 second. Sorry about that. It's going to turn off in a second. So maybe, I don't know about you, but every time Netflix tweets something, there we go. Okay. Every time Netflix tweets something, almost every single reply is about please renew my show, my favorite show. So maybe they were like, we can't take it anymore. Let's just release these numbers so you can see why certain things didn't get renewed. But anyway, Netflix has always said it's performance versus cost, which is how they decide whether or not to renew a show. But I think there are other things to consider for Netflix. I think Netflix really is, their goal is because they don't sell ads on their material. They don't sell ads. So they're not concerned with each view. They're more concerned with combating churn. And also, I was talking to somebody who works with Netflix, and they said also they're very interested in making sure they can attract new subscribers. So if your show hits a wall where new people aren't coming to watch it, right? Like it's set in its audience and it's not gaining audience, then they're going to get rid of it because there's no point in keeping the show because it isn't growing the subscribership. So it's a very different metric than what it would take usually for shows back in the day that want to sell ads. Like if your audience is huge, who cares if it grows or not? Because, people want to sell ads on every airing. So I mean, there isn't too much to say about it. Does anybody have any questions about this? I mean, everybody, just the big takeaway I saw was like, people were like, wow, I guess Shadow and Bone didn't do that well. SMR Goose says, how do you know why someone subscribes? It might not even be for a specific show. Well, I think you can tell that they're looking at your data because they own it. Hey, Silver Scale, you made it. I love it. They're looking at your data. So they see what the first thing you watch is after you subscribe. They see what you're looking at. They see what you check the trailer out for, but then decide not to watch. They see what your searches are. I mean, it's nuts. I mean, that's Netflix's whole claim to fame. They want the data. That's right, Baldwin. I believe it is called metrics. Sir Grizzle says, why are they still making the Witcher series? My guess would be that it's very big overseas. It's like a global hit for them. And they're like, maybe we can keep it alive. But I wouldn't be surprised if after this one Liam Hemsworth season comes out, then it gets canceled. Hey, Dylan. Thanks for gifting a membership. Cooper Mercier says, it was Wednesday as big as we thought initially. It sure was. Big deal show. So I think that's about it. I don't really have too much. Also, maybe if a show wins a lot of awards, like that's good for them. And also, cost is important. Like a more expensive show like Shadow and Bone, which has incredible sets and costumes and VFX, it's too expensive. But like Heartstopper is such an inexpensive show that they're like, yeah, sure, we can do another season of this. SMR Goose, Netflix released it themselves on their Twitter account, on their social media. And so it was just for everybody to look at. Anyone could go and look at the spreadsheet. It's an actual spreadsheet. Like you need to open it with Excel, which is ridiculous. They didn't even bother to interpret the numbers for you. They were like, here they are. And then, so that's how you can see it. And then there's a little bit of coverage, but everybody had the same coverage, being like, I don't know what to make of this. That's nice. These are some nice big numbers. Good for you. All right, does anybody have any questions or comments about this before we go to the Q&A? Dory Does Voices says, Grace, do you think that bigger shows hurt other Netflix shows' chances? Like if Stranger Things ends, wouldn't it make room for more success for other shows on the platform? I don't really know if a show is going to blow up. I think it creates a space for a new show to come and blow up. I think, and also from a business perspective, Stranger Things going away means it frees up a lot of Netflix's cash, and Netflix needs another Stranger Things. So if you're in the business of Hollywood and you're a writer or a producer, you're paying attention to what they're looking for at every studio and streamer. And they'll, I think about like quarterly, you kind of find out what they're in the market for. And so you're like, oh, well now they need a new Stranger Things, so I can go pitch them my big concept show. 50 Pen says, I've just sent an email to Dave & Buster's asking them to open a store on the Gold Coast in Australia. I mean, 50 Pence, you're on the Gold Coast of Australia. Aren't you just loving being outside there? It's probably great there. But that's really funny. You should say Beyond the Trailer sent me here. That's funny, Victor DiGiovanni. Netflix is like, can any of you help us go through this data? My pleasure, Dory. Kareem says they know your Netflix search history, which helps them to make choices on what content they may be missing or need to acquire. That's true. They'll be like, are you looking for movies or shows related to this one that we don't have? And I'm like, yeah, I want that. And they're like, well, how about this other show that's kind of like it? And I'm like, nope, to another streaming service that has it. Although nobody, not even iTunes, has A Christmas Carol from 1951 with Alistair Sim. That's what I really wanted to watch last night. I ended up watching Arthur Christmas, which was great as always. But I really wanted to watch the 1951 Christmas Carol. And nobody had it. They had a couple of people uploaded it for free on YouTube, but the sound quality was kind of echoey. So I was like, don't like this. Thanks, Dory. That's a nice thing to say. Alex Legate says, new Netflix strategy. When a show stops bringing in new subs, sell it. Hey, MM92, thank you for gifting a membership. Okay, let's go to the Q&A section. Hold on. I have to come up with a thing to say when we do Q&As because I have boop, 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 and boom, baby. But I got to say something for Q&A. All right, it's 6:21. At 6:31, I must get off the stream. Chico, the review embargo for The Crown Season 6 Part 2, which I was working on right before this stream started, is at 3 a.m. When the embargo lifts. That's when the review embargo lifts. Jay Altman, you couldn't possibly be seeing Echo early reactions because there's a social media embargo until January 8th. So if anybody's doing that, they're breaking the embargo. And also, I don't believe the What If screeners have gone out yet, but there was an event where they showed the first 2 episodes of What If and some kind of trailer in Los Angeles. Alwatch says, wore PJs to the movies by myself, only run into my ex and their boyfriend with friends. Bobbed and weaved my way to my theater. You just own it, Alwatch. I'm sure you looked great in your jams. Mr. Magic, I am going to try and react to the John Krasinski If trailer tomorrow. It looks to me like a live-action Monsters, Inc., which I think is very interesting. Davey B. Jones says, did you see the new Dune 2 trailer, and what did you think of it? I didn't even bother to watch it. I feel a lot of people did that. I think a lot of people did not watch, which is crazy. I hope it's good. I mean, I'll certainly review it, but I mean, I told you yesterday I was not feeling very well, so I couldn't react to it. And if I don't react to something as soon as it drops, there's just no point. Movies, TV reviews. Saoirse Ronan is an interesting choice for Supergirl. I don't know, but I'd be open to her auditioning. Max888 says, when do you think James Gunn is going to cast his version of Wonder Woman? How would you feel about casting Melissa Barrera? I think she could certainly audition for the role. I don't know. I think he's going to wait to cast Wonder Woman because Gal Gadot was probably the most popular of the 3 by the end. And I don't know. I mean, the Themyscira show is so far off from coming together. Oh, I see another vote for Saoirse Ronan there from Michael with no A. Michelle. Let's see here. Bagel Time says, will you be reviewing the Pokemon Concierge Show or Chicken Run 2? I don't know what the Pokemon Concierge Show is, but I will not be reviewing Chicken Run 2. I have a couple of still reviews to come this year, though, for sure. And the Echo embargo isn't until the show drops for the review embargo. You can't review Echo until the show drops. And at that point, I might just go right into just doing the spoiler review. Because, I mean, either you're going to watch it or you're not. Dylan says, hey, Grace, I've watched your videos since your Hunger Games coverage. Hooray! I rarely make a live stream as I'm in Australia, but I always watch you when I wake up. Me and my brother love your videos. Oh, hey, Dylan. Hi to you and your brother. I'm so glad you can catch these even if they're not live. And I'm glad we were able to chat today. That's lovely. Pratik says, any thoughts on Kung Fu Panda 4? I love Viola Davis so much. I'm so happy for Viola Davis that she's getting so much cool work. But I feel really bad for all the hate towards Awkwafina. I really like Awkwafina. I think she's really talented. And I think people are just being way too mean to her. I think she's great. But I thought Kung Fu Panda 4 looked pretty good. It looked a little bit like a direct-to-video or direct-to-streaming movie, but it's okay. I mean, I was glad so many people were excited about it. DreamWorks needs the win. David says, hey, Grace, what do you think about the new Jonathan Majors TMZ footage? Do you think this will help with his case? I watched it. I saw it was trending. It's too hard for me to be able to tell that because I'm not sure what's happening in the footage in the context of how it was presented in the case. I haven't been following it that closely. So I really am just, I'm waiting to see what the jury decides. But I will say that it seemed a number of people seemed to feel that it was very good for him, that footage. Seattle Launder, thank you for gifting 20 memberships. You're always so generous. VTTV says, what's your most anticipated movie of 2024? Believe it or not, mine is Argylle. It looks like The Great Gatsby meets Mission Impossible. I am excited about that, but I have to tell you, Deadpool 3 is the movie I'm the most excited about. I just, I'm very excited to see what they do with that. Brendan Mills says, are you going to review Civil War? It looks stupid. I'll probably review the movie when it comes out. A24 and Universal are tricky with their trailers, which is why I didn't react to either of those trailers today. But I did watch them, and, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, I think it's like we're a little too raw to discuss the Civil War. I think everybody in America is like, ixnay on the Civil War, nay. Don't bring that up. Robert Hayes says, it's 1951 A Christmas Carol is on Plex. I don't even know what Plex is. I saw that yesterday when I was trying to Google where I could watch it. And I was like, what the heck is Plex? Oh, look at Mary Lynn saying, shout out to all the generous people who gifted memberships. That's very sweet of you, Mary Lynn. Abba Sheik says, you should consider putting out reviews even if you're a couple of days late. I appreciate that. Your videos have rewatchability, and I watch your reviews after each boys episode. That means a lot, Abba Sheik. It takes me so much time to do a review. I'll consider it going forward because I appreciate that feedback, but I'm reluctant because I feel, like I should really just get on top of the movie and review it before it comes out, to be honest with you. So I'm going to try and be a little bit more on top of that. Writer Boy, thank you for gifting a membership. Juan Carlos, it's not on Amazon Prime. I clicked on it and they said it's not available in your country, and I was upset. Oh, Drago, I'm having a challenging time since my mother's passing, but thank you for your channel. Oh, I can understand, Drago. I'm so sorry for your loss. But I'm sure your mother would really want you to continue on, and of course to remember her, but just to continue to live your life, because I think she'd feel awful if you were so sad. So I think try and think of that, try and think of honoring your mother with your time now. But I'm so glad you and your mother were so close. I think that's really beautiful. Max Beck says, and I know that it's probably, you're like, impossible, Grace, because it's so soon, but we're here for you. Max Beck says, maybe a unicorn topic, but what are your thoughts on AI being able to replicate your likeness? I don't know. I don't really know about that. Mm-hmm. Jack Black is pretty great. Agreed. Brendan Mills says, have you heard the rumors about Argylle being written by Taylor Swift secretly? If it was written by Taylor Swift, I would be so proud of her. I'd be like, wow, is there anything that woman cannot do except act? You don't have to be able to do everything, Taylor. I think like 99% of everything is pretty good. But yeah, I don't know who wrote Argylle, but I would be really impressed if it was Taylor Swift. The main man says, what did Zachary Levi do that was bad? Well, he just basically blamed everybody for Shazam 2 not doing well, and it was really vindictive about it. You got to be careful. You want to make sure people are willing to work with you going forward. A lot of people will see how you act and they go, I don't want any of that coming at me. And that's how things can happen. So you got to really think about that. Sion says, have you watched Leave the World Behind on Netflix? I quite enjoyed it. I see people divided on that, but I'm so glad that you liked it. Maybe after the holidays, but right now I'm super into holiday movies and the few movies left that I have to watch to review. I have a screening today, I have a screening on Friday, and I have a screening middle next week too. So I got 3 screenings left, and then it's Christmas. I'm focusing on Christmas. Let's see here. Seattle Law Nerd says, always late to the party, but glad to catch the Q&A. Just sending holiday love to all the BTT community. Ah, you're so sweet, Seattle Law Nerd. Good days, I do not have an editor. I had an editor at one point, but I looked over the things that they did to such a degree that I was like, I might as well be editing this myself. Also, having an employee is a very serious commitment. I at least take it seriously. I mean, you're responsible for like someone's well-being. And so, I just think my operation is too small to have an employee, to be honest with you. Oh, Maria also loved Leave the World Behind. Fascinating. You're making me want to watch it. Stephen Turner says, do you think there is a risk of an award backlash to Barbie after so many nominations, like what happened to La La Land, where people started to root against it? But La La Land still won all the stuff, or a lot of it. Well, it didn't win, you're right. It ended up going to Moonlight. I think if people have a problem with Barbie, they already do. And I think that Barbie's going to get a lot of nominations, but I don't think it's going to win most of them. If it can just win any single major nomination, be it, I don't think it will ever win picture, but if it could win director or one of the acting categories or screenplay, that would make me so happy. That would make me so happy. John Thrasher says, I agree, Grace. Some of us love pursuing your channel, even if it's to the day of, you mean not the day of drop? Well, I really appreciate your guys' support. You guys are really nice. I hope you have a lovely day too, Mike Media. Whelm says, if you have time, why not experiment with a late movie review and see how it does? Good excuse to see Godzilla -1. You guys are relentless. Relentless on it. Let's see. I appreciate, maybe we'll do a watch along for Godzilla -1. I saw somebody suggest that and said, maybe Grace is planning a surprise watch along for us. Have faith. And I felt bad because I wasn't. But maybe that's what we'll do. Maybe when Godzilla -1 hits digital, we'll do a watch along for all. And that way you guys will be happy because I'll be spreading the word on Godzilla. Oh, you're all very sweet to be there for Drago. Robert Hayes says, Plex is an ad-supported streaming service like Tubi. I don't want any commercials during my Christmas Carol. That's right, Cowboy Kush. I haven't seen Leave the World Behind yet. MM92 says, hi, Grace. Is Wonka super family friendly? I'm seeing it with family, and some are very conservative and religious. Uh-oh. Were they okay with Paddington, the Paddington movies? I mean, it's as adult as the Paddington films. It has some adult jokes in there and some romancing, but I think it should be, I can't think of anything that would be a problem, but if there's Paddington 2 in particular, I think is a good gauge. An Apricot Warrior, what a name, says, hey Grace, been a fan since I was 16. I'm 26 now. I'm a writer, and I'm looking to send an idea script to Netflix, HBO Max. Where do I start? Who do I send to? I had this idea from smoking weed. Don't judge, but it's expanded. Hey, inspiration can come from many different places, Apricot Warrior, and you already came up with a very good name, so, your idea might be good. The thing is, though, is that you can't send directly to Netflix or HBO Max because they don't actually make anything themselves. You have to go through a production company that has a deal with Netflix and HBO Max, and that's who actually makes the product. So you have to find someone like that, and you have to send your material. Now, unfortunately, I know this is not a real bummer of an answer, but I'm being honest with you. They won't take unsolicited material. So what you really need is to either get an agent or a manager, or you can enter a screenwriting competition and maybe get some attention that way. Let's see here. Lone Wolf Media also wants a -1 watch along. Well, Max88 says, how about Samara Weaving as Supergirl? I like Samara Weaving a lot, but I don't know if she has the wholesome look that you would want for Supergirl. Oh yeah, I'm over time. I better get going. Mish says, hey Grace, you covered What If each episode. Are you covering What If each episode? I don't know about covering What If each episode because it's during Christmas. And I'm sorry to say, I just cannot work on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So I know a lot of other people in the same space as me. We've been talking and we're all kind of thinking that we might just skip What If this year. Also because interest was so low in the trailer. We're not going to knock ourselves out. When we should be with our families for something that is not getting a lot of attention. So I was thinking maybe I do like a ranking video instead afterwards. So I have to see. Let's see here. And then Big League Chew says, please, Grace, watch along. Godzilla -1. Yeah, you guys can maybe see me cry live on screen. Everybody says it makes you cry. I think it's hilarious. Seattle Law Nerd says, do not work over Christmas, while Matthew says, no, do it. I'm really trying. I'm trying, but I just have to draw the line at working on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I'm sorry. Movie math. Also, I'm doing movie math the day right after Christmas and the day right after New Year's because they're on Mondays, Sunday and Monday this year. All right, quick shout outs. Where are you? What are you doing? Let me say hi to you really fast. Thanks, Riley. I support the, I appreciate the support. Matt's in Michigan. Pseudonym is in Chicago preparing for Warner Brothers Discovery interviews. Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. That's quite an interesting avatar picture you have there, Pseudonym. Let's see here. Alex says, why is it that the beginning of December has been empty, but everything came out in the same week? Yeah, it's been really crazy. There was even an article in the Hollywood Reporter about how there are no deals happening, and it's kind of freaking everybody out. But I've spoken to some people, and we're all kind of thinking everybody just needs a break after the strikes, and everybody just wants to enjoy the holidays. So hopefully after New Year's, everybody will get back to work. Colt Manning says, hey, Grace, about to make some dinner in Brooklyn. That sounds fantastic. Well, David says he's in Phoenix, Arizona, eating sour gummy bears and watching the coolest streamer. Thank you. Mexican 8 Nacho says, hello from Mexico, everyone. Setting a new aquarium up at home. Your AC gave me a jump scare, though. Thought I activated the filter. Oh, I'm sorry I scared you there. My parents used to have an aquarium. It's a big commitment, but it's very cool. Let's see here. Ricky Minaj says, I'm stuck in traffic on my way to work. Oh, that's a funny emoji. I'm glad we could keep you company. Well, Jimmy Fletcher is cooking ramen from scratch in Guatemala. While Sophia is about to go grab dinner in Florida. Let's see here. Tammy says, hiding at work, watching the stream. Oh, yes, I love it. Thank you, Tammy. And the J Cat says, I'm getting ready for work in Honolulu, Hawaii. Perfect timing for a stream. What a place to live. Pastor Madeline, you're working on a puzzle. I would love to work on a puzzle. I even bought a Christmas puzzle, but I don't really have space in my apartment to work on a puzzle, which was a bit of a bummer. Clarice Bell Flores. Oh, I love your picture. Says, I'm relaxing after my dialysis treatment. Oh, yes, I remember. Watching you here in Panama City, Panama. Oh, I hope you're doing well. Again, I'm so glad we can keep you company, and I'm so glad that you're on the mend and you're taking care of yourself. And it's so nice. You have such a nice smile. I'm sure your positive demeanor is also helping you out a lot. Chad says, having dinner in New York City, gonna walk Marvel after the stream. Well, Juan is having a very different experience in Guatemala, stuck in the horrible traffic. Well, Ricardo Sanchez says, preparing for my parents coming over for the holidays. Love from Brian and Ricardo. I love hearing from you guys. That's great. You're always so upbeat and so much fun. I'm sure that your parents can't wait to be there with you. Fritz Fromm says, wishing all a very cheerful Christmas this year from Germany. I have a relative who went to Germany during Christmas and said the Christmas markets were incredible. Well, Alex Tofola is cooking dinner in Atlanta. Well, VTTV is writing an essay for my entrepreneurship class. Why the melting emoji? That sounds like a really cool class. And Starry is eating some warm soup in Pennsylvania. It's so cold here. I'm sure it is in New York as well. Yeah, it's pretty freaking chilly over here. But that's fantastic. Oh, you guys are having a great time. It's so nice. Thank you for making me a part of your day. I love talking to you guys. And then I am shooting for a live stream tomorrow. So we do all three of them. It's going to be phenomenal. I'm excited. All right, you guys, I will see you very soon. And there will be my Crown review will go up at 3 a.m. when the show drops on Netflix. All right, everybody. Bye. Bye.